Joseph here, and welcome to my storybook. It's for today. Part 6 of this book called How to Beat the Bully Without Really Trying. Let's begin the chapter, or the 21st chapter. Chapter 21 Waco Robin. In the days and weeks following the dismissal of Longnose, both kids were in awe of me. They keep asking about what happened in Ferrotot's office that could have made Longnose lose it like that. I got good and I got good at keeping them guessing, even with us and my closest friends. I would just say, "Hey, us new locals don't have to get things done." If they wonder how I really did, or secretary feel I did something awful, they didn't mention it. They were too busy enjoying themselves. Lunch and the races were much more pleasant when you didn't get laughed at and made to stay in line. The fact that I might be capital black magic cast just the right spell when it came to Josh. Although I knew that every part of him wanted to lose my face for a punching bag, he stayed away. Maybe was afraid I'd turn him into a toy. Even better, ever since I rescued for her from long nose, Jessica and I was spending lots of time together. I was still trying to get up the nerve to forcibly ask her out, but things were good. And as for Greg, well, he never raised Jessica's attention, although he got plenty on it from Kellen. Did you wet those pants today on the basketball court, Greg? What's the matter? Do you want Jessica to protect you? Poor Greg, he had no combats, and his punctuality evidently faded, along with his team. He was so pathetic that I ever forget him and were up, including him in my group of friends. Yes, in the weeks after Long Nose left, things were just how I liked them. There were even brief moments when I believed things were as good as they seemed. But trying as I might to be happy and content, there was a black cloud on the horizon. Its name was Waco Robin, Robina, and it was about to rain down hard on me. I knew what was coming before my mother even told me. It was that look on her face. Unhappy. It sounded like that usually spelled disaster for me. I could feel the hairs rising on the back of my neck. Penny sent it too and picking it up in her chain. My dad just keeps shoveling french fries into his mouth. "Donna, you're going to choke." My mom coming in. "Huggins," he replied with a full mouth. "Can you slow it down for a moment? I want to make it. I want to make it announcement. When do they get here?" I said, standing up from the table. My mom looked confused. Then she's giggling. "I don't know how you knew it, but the Robins are flying in tonight. I'm shutting down the one town tomorrow. Walker is visiting school the day after tomorrow, and I need to be excused." I ain't what? "What about your dinner?" my mom asked. I think Nelson will stick around to hear any more good news. If Walker beat me up at school, everything in my life will go from great to rotten in about 2 minutes. I have to come up with a plan. Actually, for 2 months, I have been trying to come up with a plan, only I keep drawing blanks. Now there was no time left. I went into my room and sat down on the bed. Think. I command myself. For the next hour or so, a steady stream of plans entered my head, each one dumber than the next. I could buy a costume and disguise myself. I could rob a bank and borrow Waco with millions of dollars. I could dig an escape tunnel under Barbara intermittently. You scared about Waco, right? My sister was standing in the doorway. She was the only person She was the only other person in the entire state of Ohio who knew about my beatings back in New York. What? Me scared. I'm sure you hard at school. How I like the typist. Whitey, I don't know how you been tricking everyone, but I know you're afraid of Waco coming. I couldn't tell if she wanted to help me or if she was about to start groveling, but I didn't want to take a chance. Okay, out of here. I jump up off the bed. The last thing I need is my little sister. If you're not there, you can't do anything. My hand was on her back, pushing her out into the hallway. I stopped. What is that supposed to mean? I mean, if you're not here, Waco can't do anything to you. He can't do anything to you. You should jump. You should just disappear for the day. What do you want me to do? Drink a magic potion that will make me invisible. Penny, go watch TV. I showed her out the door and flaunting myself onto the bed. My sister's silly words echoing in my head. If you're not hit there, he can't do anything. What a dopey idea, I thought. Or was it? Maybe Penny was on to something. Walker was only visiting Barbara for one day before heading back to New York. If I wasn't in school that day, what could he do? Even if he told everyone stuff about New York, no one would believe him. But where could I hide for a whole day? The mall. Someone will report me. The library. Same problem. I settled into the pillow and closed my eyes. I figured I'd worry about it tomorrow. After all, I wouldn't be seeing Waco for another 2 days. At least, that's what I thought. The next day at school, I tried to act as normal as I could, but it was tough. I had a hard time joking with my friends or ignoring Miss Loscourt. I still didn't know what I would do when Waco showed up. The more I thought about it, the more I liked the idea of hiding. First of all, we were supposed to be reading it out loud in class the next day, and I was dreading that. In fact, probably because I was so worried about everything I actually told Jessica about my fear of reading or speaking in front of a group. She laughed and told me I would be do fine, which made me feel better, but that still left my other problem. As the day wore on, I made a decision to definitely spend the next day in hiding. Sure, I'll probably get into trouble. The school will call home. My parents will be mad. But that would be far better than a visit from Walker. Only one question remained. Where to hide? My brain finally sharpening when I climbed off the bus in the afternoon. I had always known a path that lay off from the bus stop into some thick woods. That's it. I could spend tomorrow in those woods and still getting on the bus. I would already have my lunch with me. Ronnie, what are you thinking about? You seems out of it, Weiss said. He was looking up into the trees, trying to figure out what he grabbed my attention. I wasn't about to confide in him. Oh, nothing much. Let's go home. Together we walked along the sidewalk. The streets were empty and the air was still. We were approaching a three-way intersection down the street from my house. Suddenly, something felt wrong. Well, look who's coming, Wesley said. smiling. I glanced down Clark Street and forward. Josh and Toby were twinkling along with their hands down. Toby looked up and the two of them stopped about 15 yards from us. This was a potentially dangerous moment, and Street began to run down my wobbled spine. Who's that? Weston asked. Josh and Toby. Do you go blind? Not them. Over there. My eyes turned from Clark Street and looked down the third street that met the intersection. I grabbed Wes's arm to keep from falling into the pyramid. I couldn't believe it, but there he was. Waco Wabana. Waco Wambana. I looked more than I remember and bigger, too. He was shuffling along with his pencils, so I slivered the NYC flash on his back, sweatshirts, and his hair stood straight up on his head like a black porcupine. Seeing me, he stopped walking and gave me a wicked glance, and there was stirred, all five of us, and breathing blue and the sweat on my back weighing cold. My eyes shifted from Waco to Josh and Toby, and then back to Waco. Lo, white boy, don't miss me? Walk called and Walk told me. Been looking all over for y'all. Josh and Toby, they'll even those about any potential violent. Stir up too. My mouth stomaching. Oh, yeah. I thought you were coming tomorrow, though. I was going to throw you a surprise welcome party. In fact, why don't you turn around and run along? Trying to act surprising tomorrow. That mouth of yours still ready, huh? So this is O'Hara. Smells bad, like the country. I miss New York already. Walker looked over at Josh and Toby. He paused for a moment, talking in Josh's side. There's no friends? He asked me. These no friends? He asked me. We aren't friends, Toby spat. No doubt, Walker laughed, adding, I like the looks of those too. I bet you'll be in hiding or whining some beatdowns. But don't worry, I'm moving into this town, and punting this kid is my job. Giles looked confused by this, but Toby's eyes shone as he listened. Weston spoke next, and the second he opened his mouth, I knew we were in trouble. Are you like the dumbest kid in New York? He asked. No one messes with Barney, Wapon, and gets away with it. Boy, he's going to be disappointed in a minute. I thought. Walker sharpened quickly and got into space. Wes's space. That's gotta be the funniest thing I ever heard. And now, after I'm done smacking him around for the old times, and now after I'm done smacking him around for old times' sake, I'm gonna give you a little taste of the bad big apple. He smiled and looked back over at Josh and Toby. Toby was smiling, enjoying every second of time on this. Josh just looked confused. Once it wasn't done, though, like I'm supposed to be scared. I almost feel bad for you. Whitey's going to tear you apart. Whitey here. He grabbed me my shoulder for a fat. Rusty, quiet, I whispered. Well, Whitey took out full-grown man with his bare hands, and do you know what else he did? Not now, Rusty. I whispered. I felt real bad knowing what was coming. After watching his super student what was coming after watching his superstar friend get beat up. What it would be next. Oh well, that he was digging his grave deeper. He kept right on talking. The first Dell screw riding punts out that guy. Rests his finger pointing at Jaws. All right, now hold it all. Oh, this is one rack in town. Waco laughed and stoned toward Jaws. Want me to knock you out? I broke his nose, too, and I ain't trying to get the tension off Rusty. Really? Walker laughed even harder and slapped his knee. Jaws stepped at him, but didn't answer. Once Walker gained control of himself, he looked Josh in the eye. After Walker was real big, even he had to glance upward to meet Josh's gaze. "Who are you?" Walker continued. "The town's big bull cream puff. You let him beat you up? You gotta be the biggest whip I ever seen. What's your name?" "Nah, wait. Let me guess. Is it Jennifer or Mercy?" Or Walker didn't get a chance to think of any other girls' names. John's grabbing him with both arms and hoisting him up in the air. Walker's face looked shocked. He struggled but couldn't escape from John's monomer hands. "Oh, this should be good," Washington gasped, taking it out his camera. "Put me down," Walker screamed. John said, "Sure," walking close to the cord. He body slammed Walker into some garbage cans. Toby, even in these situations, said, "Welcome to our house," and dumping garbage from another can onto the veteran tough guy. Walker even intentionally scrambling up and ran, crying down the block while Rusty's Campbell clipped away. Josh and Toby high-fived each other, and I almost joined them, but Walker had said hello, and I wasn't in the clear just yet. The four of us straightened up and squared off. Josh spoke first. "That wimp," he said, "he used to beat you up." "That true." "Yeah, right." Washington jumped in. "That kid's obviously got some mental." "I ain't talking to you," rapped on. "Is it true what that kid said?" Now I knew I had only one chance. I rolled my head back and forth and cracked my knuckles. "Why don't you come over here and find out?" Other than the shaking knees and sudden goes to wet my pants, the bluffing seems convincing. "Yeah, what's that? Why don't we go over to Whiting and find out?" "Oh, great. Whiting's not afraid of everything or anyone." "Shut up!" John stood there thinking. It was looking difficult for him. Toby nudged him on, but he shoved Toby off. "Okay, that was enough for one day. Come on, Tob." They walk on board. They walk on by. I can see Toby's disappointment. Once they had gone a block, I exhausted slowly through my teeth. "Well, that was fun," Weston said, punching my arm. "Let's go get a snack." We're heading back to my house. Penny, who was watching her after school shows on TV, actually put it on mute when she saw us. That was at first. Walker did Walker find you? She asked. "He stopped here before. He was looking for you." "Yeah, he found me." I told her, "No big deal." She looked surprised. "Really?" "Really." Russia joined the conversation, and you should have seen why he scared off Jaws. Now Penny looked really confused. "I don't get it." "That's because you're still on." I teased her. "Come on, Russie, let's hit the kitchen." That night, before going to bed, I made a decision, not hiding from me the next day. I didn't want to miss seeing Josh teach Waco another lesson, but that was only part of it. Certainly hiding in the woods seemed kind of dumb, like something you would do if you were. Well, I cowed. Chapter 22. A Warning in a Big Apple. Walker never showed up at school the next day. It turns out his mother was outraged by how the local kids had treated her little angel. After months of worry, Walker wasn't moving. Maybe everything had worked out perfectly for me. Even my fear of reading in front of class was for nothing. Miss Lunchcrump was out sick for a few days, and by the time she came back, we had moved on to another classwork. It was around this time that I finally came to think of Garrettsville as my new true home. Sure, I still miss definitely things about New York, but one day coming home from school, I walked up the steps to my house and accepted the fact that I knew that I really belonged here. There was no going back. Guess what? My mom greeted me. You're going back to school? I didn't what I didn't know what she was talking about. No, to New York. Isn't that great news? And a flash at Piss and Jessica, Rusty, my other friends, and how popular I was at Barber. I had shoved every problem. Nowhere was I going back. There was nothing my parents can do. If we were moving again, I chained myself to a tree. Though birthday's coming up, Aunt Ellie has invited me to New York as her guest this weekend to celebrate it. Just for the weekend. Aunt Ellen, a flow of relief, washing over me. Every spring, Aunt Ellen will take me into the city for my birthday. She will also take Penny for hers, but that wasn't until August. Now that we live in Ohio, I have an important question for my mom. Oh, how I am going to get there for the weekend. You fly by myself. The old feeling of panic excess up my spine. Guess, after I got off the phone with her, I called the airline and they had a program for uncomponent meals. My dad will drop you off Friday morning and sure meet you when you land in New York. You have to miss a day of school, of course. The whole thing sounded a bit crazy. I wasn't thrilled about flying by myself, but I liked the idea of missing a day with lunch squad, more lunch, with lunch squad. More importantly, a whole weekend with my aunt Ellen could mean only one thing: adventure. I couldn't wait for Friday, and before I knew it, the day had arrived. My dad saw me off at the airport. He handed me a cell phone and told me to call when I landed. 2 hours later, I was back on New York soil. I made my way down the long airport corridor. Just as I was stumbling off and moving sidewalk, I heard loud music playing up ahead. I continued on, trying to see past the other travelers and get a grasp of the commotion. And then I saw her, Aunt Ellen, waiting for me with what must have been 100 balloons. I went out to her and gave her a hug. You got all those balloons for me? And asked. Shocked, yes. Sorry it's a bit unwelling out. Airport security refused to let the monsters band through the checkpoint. Aunt Ellen, you didn't have to do that. Nonsense. It's not every day my favorite nephew visits. Now come here and give me a kiss. As we walked through the airport, she told me how disgusted and taken she was to see me. She also told me about her latest trip and keep monitoring places like Canton, Umbrella, and Bogler. By the way, how was your flight? She had a tantrum and asked, terrible. I told her, I'm starving. Dad ate my lunch on the way to the airport, and they didn't serve any food. I couldn't even have peanuts because the guy next to me was ill. We grabbed my suitcase off the baggage coaster and heading it out onto the warm spring day. My great aunt wrestles to a passing cab and it immediately screamed to her heart, then back out to right where we were standing. Let's go have some fun, she shouted as we hopped in the back. Do you think we could hit McDonald's first? McDonald's driver, take us to 50/50 and 7 and make it snappy. She turned back to me. I can't have my darling nephew hungry. And half an hour later, I was sitting in the colorless deli eating a pastora sandwich the size of the Cadillac. I could barely fit it into my mouth. My aunt fed me, and when we were done, she wore me out the door onto 7 evening. Ronnie, she said, you have to help me get ready. I'm hosting a dinner party tonight. Let's walk over to the park and make plans. I watched the crowds of people moving into the streets and smelled the heavy, sweet New York City air. I had forgotten how much I love it. Aunt Ellen was as excited as ever by life. The whole time talking about who was coming to her dinner, and what fun things we could do the rest of the weekend. Suddenly, she waved to someone in the restaurant window as we passed. He waved back and drew her a kiss. How do you know so many people? I asked my darling boy. I lived in this town for particularly 100 years. I knew she was his scholar, but I wasn't sure about how much. Now, where was I? She continued. Oh yes, I've only been back for 2 days myself. I'd love to see the new Palo store this afternoon at the Gunley Handling. Maybe a place Saturday night. Of course, there's Ariana birthday ball game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I did tell you we were seeing the Mets tomorrow, didn't I? Before I could answer, she was up on some other subjects. She was full of energy and interested in everything. That afternoon, my great aunt and I invested two masters and took a bus store down Fifth Avenue. When we finally got back to her apartment, I put my feet up and wondered how I last the whole weekend. As long as I was resting, I decided to get Rusty a car. I'm telling you, New York is wild. My Aunt Ellen snuck her rollerblades into the Wild Museum car, the Gavilan, and zoomed all the way down from the top floor. She finally crashed at the bottom in a famous statue by this guy named Ronnie. Wasn't it? Who's want who's want to see that? Weston and I laughed and talked for a while more before her mother told him to hang up and get ready for dinner. Listen, Ronnie, call me tomorrow. He whispered. Also check your email when you get a chance. I sent you I sent you some fun finding pistols of your friend Waco. Oh, and I got some big news for you. Before I could find out the news, he was gone. I thought about calling Dave or Slim when the intercom in my aunt's apartment started buzzing. For the next half hour, my aunt's friends kept arriving for the dinner party. each one dressed in funny and frantic denonettes. They were all special, and I liked them a lot. That is, until Southern California showed up. He walked in and I immediately noticed his long white mustache was curling upward at the corners of his mouth. He was wearing a heavy black overcoat and clutching a cane, which he clicked hard on the words floor, not to me. He whipped off his coat and tossed it over my head, as if I was a coat track. I heard him say, "Careful with that. It's cashmere. I'm pulling it off." And for a second we studied each other. "Stop gun walking, boy. Aren't you going to announce me? Who are you?" He stepped in and asked, "Are you trying to be rude or does it just come naturally?" I find it hard to believe that anyone would need to ask that question. I happen to be the most important person at this party. I felt my mouth getting ready. "Well, why didn't you say so?" I turned and yelled into the living room. "Aunt Ellen's the Castles here. Carters. You call me the Cassie? Why, I have boards longer than you were asking for less. I, oh, sorry, Edward. I'm so happy you could make it. I see you met my nephew," Aunt Ellen said as she came towards us. "He seems motivated at a loss, and then manages. What's that? Little nephew? Oh, I see. Yes. We're all met. Whining. This is Sir Edward. Snottingham. From former Colonel of the War Sympathy Orchestra in orchestra in England." I reached out to shake his hand. Instead, he dropped his can into my pan. Put that with the coat. He crippled. He turned his back on me and grabbing my aunt's arm. I dumped his coat and cane on the floor. So, snuggling him aside, my aunt's friends were great. Unfortunately, he made sure he was sitting right next to my aunt and spent half the dinner trying to sound important, especially about corsets and Broadway shows and stuff. "Oh, Ellen, please tell me little joking. How could you not have seen the nephew of Depot salesman? Victor Johnson is truly excitement. Excellent. You know I'm being out of town, darling. Oh, too bad, Evelyn. He's in a, he's in out for only one more night. It will be the highlight of the season if we share the experiences together." I'm pretending to stick a finger down my throat, while snogging him, looked like he wanted to kill me. I could see my aunt holding back a smile. Then Sarah, he continued, shooting at me a small little glare. "I will get us 2 tickets. Of course, we need 3, she pointed out. Three? 3? For you, me, and Warner, and my wonderful nephew here." I noticed Snottingham pull on the end of his mustache, bloody and brilliant. He motioned. The next day, after the whirling Manhattan morning that included rollerblading in Central Park and an early lunch in Hell Holland, things evidently slowed down. When my aunt and I arrived at Centerfield, the Met stand, orange and blue crowds swarmed around us. We made our way to the right field gate. My aunt smiled the whole time, saying how much Centerfield remember of Everest's field. when the Dodgers played when she was gone. She then turned to me and asked, "How does it feel to be home, Whitey?" I don't think she was just talking about the Mets ball field. She was talking about New York, about Queens, about my old neighborhood. I watched a giant jet fly over it on its way into Laguna Airport. It feels good, I told her. Do you miss it? Sometimes, but I like how things are going in Ohio too. To look into my eyes and give me a big smile. That makes me very happy. Why? Then she snapped out of it. Let's go see some ball. We went in and heading towards the field level. Good son, I thought. My dad and I would usually avoid it and that each and every day it's impossible escalating all the way to the very top. I was used to being far away, but I was happy to story as we heading through the lower antenna and towards the infield. Even though I've been to a number of games, I still caught my breath as I came out into the light and air. All the green grass spread out in front of me. It was beautiful. I smelled. It was beautiful. I smelled hot dogs and vanilla gel. Peanuts here. We continued walking down the aisle, past rows of seats, getting closer to the field as we pressed past each wall. My excitement grew, and when we started, I found we were in the front of the wall. These seats are amazing, and yeah, we were just below the dugout by first base. How did you get them? Oh, I have a few friends. And then a voice from the next seat called out, Emily, you made it. You know I wouldn't miss it, Tom. He laughed and came over to join us. The match was standing the foul out for the bottom of the first. I don't believe it. You, Tom Sever? I said, most sports law aides don't know about me, let alone recognize me, he said and smiled. I spent a lot of time looking at you, I replied. He raised an eyebrow and I realized that this sounded kind of weird. Aunt Ellen said, Tom, this is my nephew. Ronnie, maybe you can photograph the ball or something for him. I felt like I was in a dream. I'm pretty sure my mouth was happily hanging open. He nodded and yelled. He nodded and yelled into the dugout. A ball came flying out, which he easily caught, pulling a peanut, making fun of back pocket. He turned to me and asked, "Is Ronnie's white?" "It's Ronnie. White?" "That's right." I heard my aunt answer. The maker approached the ball. "Wait!" I shouted. Tom Saber jumped. Can I tell you white? Can I tell you what to write? He relaxed, smiled, and nodded. Okay, what I'll be it? What it be? A minute later, the first pitch was drawn, a strike, and we all cheered. I turned back to my aunt. Thanks for getting him to sign the ball for me. I had it in right hand, and kept looking at it. Wait until you see the other surprise. I cooked up before I had a chance to see her what what that meant. I heard a clatter, Waddy. I turned and coming down the aisle when Tony, and Tommy, my three best New York friends. It was great to see them. After our greetings, we got hot dogs and sheltered in to watch the game. During the top of the first, I desired describing to the drill down how life was going. They laughed a bit when I started talking about Jessica. They had a hard time imagining me as their school, tough guys, but they were happy for me. Things aren't so hot here. Timmy said. I looked at him and he continued. Turns out Walker's not going to move away. Really? What did you hear? I asked him. Timmy continued. He came back from that trip, not looking too good. It was in a real bad mood. He locked Tony in a locker, and he was here, and said he was here to stay. I felt bad for them, but I'm breathing a little easier knowing I had one less problem in our house. Tommy lying some my aunts couldn't hear. Yesterday he stuck a jock strap on my head. Timmy nuggling his shoulder. Don't worry, man. We'll get by. We'll always have. I knocked for a moment and took out the cell phone my parents had given me for the trip. I filled in the line and brought up Russ's email. Perhaps this was help. Perhaps this will help. What is it? What is it? Audrey wondering. This is conscious. This is conscious of my friend, Russie. I think you'll find he does excellent work. For the rest of the game, they spent as much time looking at the amazing on my phones and my phone as they did watching the action on the field. The Mets lost 4-2, but Timmy, Tony, and Tommy were all smiles. I love the one with Waco buried in garbage, Tommy said. Yes, wasn't having excited eyes. I replied, I'll send you the whole file. My aunt and I walked them to the subway and said our goodbyes. They were thrilled knowing they're now possessing the perfect weapon against Waco wombating, and I was equally thrilled as I kept the single back baseball, signed baseball. I knew it was going to make someone back at Bible very happy. I was in such a great mood after the ball game that nothing could get me down. Not even Helen saw Snottingham on my aunt's message machine when we got back from Shellingfield. Ellen, there, I had you know that I was able to produce us 3 tickets to tonight's performances. I spoke to my friend who works for the theater, and he said he probably put me where I belong. So my dear Eric, you haven't missed Victor Johnson's last performances. Call me back to your arrangements with me. Several hours later, my aunt and I were in a cab pulling it up in front of the Broadway theater. I have been to some shows before with her, but this one was different. For starters, it was really packed. Everyone was standing out front dressed real nice, even waiting for other people to arrive or talking in groups. As we stepped out of the cab, Snottingham centered over and took my aunt's hand. Evelyn, wonderful to see you. 2 days in a row. I am a lucky man. Are you? My aunt said, smiling. Such a gentleman. Meanwhile, with gentlemen only give me a stern nod before heading up to a window to pick up the tickets. When we got back, the three of us entered the theater. The whole place was alive with people talking about this Victor Johnson guy and how it was his last performances in the show. I noticed that the usher pointed to the star sales and not the better occasional sensation. No doubt we were in a private box. Glovening so it's nothing in him. Being a conductor has its benefits. You know, former conductor, I correct him. He spun around and was about to say something, but just then another also director, us up both steps to the last wall. He snapped, "This is a bruise. How dare you stick the candela of the one sympathy Oscar in the last wall? Former conductor, I'm correct, and this time I thought I might get cracked with his cane. Your night in the last wall." They're also pouring out. A smile of relief flashing over Nottingham's face. "No? Oh, I should have known." He turned down to me and growling. "You see what it's like to be in an infernal person? Not that you ever be the one." He straightened back up and dressed also. "Now that the little misunderstanding is cleared up, where are we, my good man?" "Are behind the last wall. You see those folder shells in back of the pot over there." Snottingham's face turned as red as the dealer's seats. If his head had exploded, I wouldn't have been shocked. My aunt evidently convinced him it wasn't the end of the war. That particular seen as potential of being able to hear a play were better than nothing. We grabbed little butts about the calling playbills, and sat down behind the lost pipe. I couldn't see the stage unless I came with my neck all the way to the right. It started to get snipped, so I gave up and looked at the playbill. It was then that I realized I knew the guy on the cover. I couldn't believe it. I looked more closely, and it was him. It was Old Man Johnson from back in Ohio. Of course, Old Man Johnson was an actor for New Lord. I hope he will remember me. I told to my aunt, "I bet I can do something about these seats." Starting a.m. laughed. "You? You couldn't even repeat Lord knows correctly." "Well, you're the expert in that department." I said under my breath. Now, now, boys," my aunt championing before turning to her friend. "This is my nephew. We're talking about him." She then reminded me that it was an old sold out show and that it would be impossible to do anything. Can't, can't I at least try?" My aunt nodded at me with a half smile. "Bad." Snapped snotting at him. "Go, don't hurry back." I walked down the stairs to the front of the Oscar section. No one stopped me in the large theater. The crowd was settling in and buzzing. I went out to the official-looking man at the front of the theater. "Hi, I was wondering if we were able to give my grandfather a message. Kid, I'm not little Manny. I'm not your nanny. Find him yourself. You'll let me back there to see him." "What? What are you going to? What are you going on about?" "My grandfather, Frederick Johnson. Can you tell him something for me?" "Your grandfather is Frederick Johnson." "Yeah, and I'm Teddy Rosenberg." He laughed. "Well, Teddy," I said, "I'll tell him later after the show that he didn't get to see his only grandson visiting all the way from Ohio because you wouldn't give him a little message." I turned to walk away. "Wait," he eyed me suspiciously. "Kid, if you're lying to me and I get in trouble for distorting him, you're going to get it. Tell him his grandson, Ronnie, from Garrettsville wanted to say hello. Tell him haven't seen each other since Halloween. You better not be playing me." He threatened again and walked off backstage. 4 minutes later, he returned, followed by Old Man Johnson. "Ronnie," So good to see you again. After our little performance, you made the trip. Bravo! You came all this way to see me again tonight. You came all this way to see me tonight. He laughed. I didn't know I was seeing you. I looked down at the playbill and saw your low face. It seems impossible. I blinked actually. Now, Ronnie, this is Broadway. Nothing is impossible. Why are you sitting behind us? That pipe. Up there near the ceiling. I point. Nonsense. It is the excitement, but still unavailable. It asked the usher. Yes, but we'll save it then. Brad Pitt is supposed to stop by. I don't care who you saving for it for. Fix it, my boy. Ronnie, with those seats. Yes, Mr. Johnson. I'm here with my aunt. I told him, well, the whole executive bus is yours. Some people have spotted him and will beginning to crowd around us. I had better bow you farewell before I late for my first scene. Good luck, I shied. In this biz we say, break a leg, okay? Okay, then break a leg. I walk off with the lawyer. When I got to my aunt, I leaned over and whispered, ready to see where we are. We are. I first saw Hannigan, wouldn't get up and just started straight ahead. But when he saw my aunt take my hand, he followed us pretty quickly, all the way to the private box where everything was covered in a red velvet, overlooked the stage. Why, 3 seats are absolutely spectacular, aren't they? Edward, my aunt asked. After a long pause, I heard what sounded like a dog stealing and dog snorting and pulling on his mustache. My aunt continued. I said, I think these are the finest seats in the house. Don't you agree, Edward? Yeah, Ed. I changed in, influenced people like me now how to get things done. Would you agree? Look, we can even sit backstage. By now, he was full of furious, twitching at both ends of his mustache at once. Did you see Rector Johnson waving to us? I wasn't lying. He was off. He was off to the side, giving us a thumbs up. When he spotted my aunt, he made a slight bow before blowing her a kiss. My aunt laughed and said, Ronnie, you're amazing. Isn't he amazing? And what? It was the final straw. Oh, oh, he hawed. I looked over at him. He had actually pulled off his mustache. He's stumbling back through the opening behind the excursion box and went off, holding his mouth. My aunt laughed. Oh, that's so Edwards. He's always up to something. For the next 2 hours, we watched the show, and as the curtain dropped, my aunt turned to me. Ronnie, that was the best play I had ever seen, and these are the best seats I ever had in all the world. You are simply full of surprise, and for an adventure, you have to go to London with me next year. Oh, and I think we'll keep it secret for the so that was spotting him. What do you say? Sounds like a plan. Only an answer, smiling as Victor Johnson walked on stage to Darlingness applause, like his performance by Vincent to New York had been a rugby scene. That's all for the chapters for chapter 21 and chapter 22. Tomorrow, at the part 7, we'll read chapter 23 and chapter 23 to 25. Until then, this is Jessica. Have a great day.